This is a time of instability and trouble and mayhem and frequent hardships in Israel. It's a time, it's a season of distress because of the famine has pushed them to the breaking point. They are not leaving because they have left their faith or left their traditions or left their culture or are ashamed of their culture. The famine has made them have to become an immigrant. The famine has got people at the border. The famine has got people trying to climb through barbed wire. The famine, if there's enough famine where you are, it will make you desperate enough to slither on the ground past snakes and to swim with alligators to get to something that you can have a better, the chance at a better life will drive you to put your life at risk because the famine drives the narrative. The famine prompts Elimelech, a man from Bethlehem in Judah, to leave, to pull up stakes, to leave his relatives and his friends where he's respected and appreciated, and to leave his homeland with his wife Naomi and his two sons Mahlon and Chilion, and head out for a place to make it home that wasn't really home, a nearby country of Moab. And there they come to meet their wives. And Naomi, as a woman, as a mother, went out full. She has her sons, she has her husband, she has her God, she has her identity, she has everything. But that is not really the highlight of the story. There are many things that I want you to see, because eventually you will come to understand the famine is significant for several reasons. The famine is significant because it drove them out. But I want to pause and challenge you not to be too quick to relocate every time things get hard. It led them to Moab, true enough, and while there Elimelech dies, and his sons marry Moabite women, one of whom is Ruth, and she is to be significant in this story, but Ruth would have never met Naomi's son if it were not for the famine. Naomi loses her husband, and as a parent I can't even imagine this. As a husband I can't even imagine it, much less as a parent. She lost both her sons. It is natural eventually to lose your parents. That doesn't make it less painful, but it is natural. But when you start losing, it is possible to lose your spouse because you're the same age and the same era, and you get old, you grow old together if you're lucky enough to do that. Maybe your second one, your third one, whatever you work out. But to lose your children is a pain I pray I never know. To bury my child. And so we have to give Naomi some grace for being a little moody in this text, because she has lost everything that mattered to her. I could come in and tell my wife almost anything. As long as me and the kids was okay, we'll figure the rest of it out. Okay? So for Naomi, she has lost her world. She says, I went out full and I came back empty, and I've got absolutely nothing. And here comes Orpah and Ruth behind her trying to follow her, and she just doesn't want to be bothered. Have you ever come to a point in your life where you've been through so many famines that you're just sick of people? You know they didn't cause the famine, but you're just sick of them. By the time Naomi hears that her homeland has food again and she's ready to come back, there's no sons in her hands, no grandsons playing at her feet, no husband by her side. She is alone. At the point of being alone, she even wants to be alone. She kisses Orpah goodbye, which I'm told that's where Oprah got her name from. They misspelled it. Goodbye, Orpah. Okay. And she tells Ruth, go home, girl. She said, it's too late for me to be productive. If I got married today and had another son, could you wait for him? There are some moments that cannot be repeated. Y'all don't hear me. I want you to hear the weight of what I'm saying. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy, because the enemy knows that if he can kill, steal, or destroy a moment, that moment may not be recreated ever again. And for all of your murmuring and complaining about what's going on in the world, don't miss a moment. Don't miss a moment. Because you don't always get a do-over. You don't always get another chance. I wish somebody experienced would back me up in here. You cannot roll back the clock of time and do it over again. This was a unique moment, and so now she has to let go of the moment. Because she is a survivor, but being a survivor sounds better than it feels. The fact that you survived and what you loved didn't takes the joy out of being a survivor. The fact that you survived doesn't mean that you didn't suffer loss, but nobody comforts the survivor. They mourn the dead, but they don't comfort the survivor, because they think that the survivor means you feel victorious. But it is possible for you to be a survivor and still not be victorious, because it costs you so much. It costs you so much. It costs you so much to survive that sometimes you have to recover from survivorship. And most of the time you have to recover alone, because nobody would suspect that the survivor is suffering too. Naomi is suffering, and she's in agony, and her daughter-in-law Ruth chooses to accompany her, but the truth of the matter is she really wants to be alone. Because sometimes when you are hurting bad enough, you lose trust. You don't want to love again, because if I love again, I risk losing again, and I haven't recovered from the last bruise. And for you to make me love you only to lose you is to reopen a wound that I'm still trying to stitch shut. Because you don't stitch these wounds shut in a week or two. You don't fix this in a year or 6 months. Sometimes it takes you a decade to survive the loss of what you had to give up to get to the next level. And so give yourself some grace. Give yourself some time. Give yourself some room to recover. Give yourself the space to be honest, honestly angry, honestly tired, honestly frustrated, honestly at the end of your rope, honestly at the place that y'all going back. I can't do this. I cannot be who I used to be again. I'm gonna get into this. The problem with great blessings of any kind, whether it's the blessing of knowledge or the blessing of finances or the blessing of influence or just the blessing of life itself, is that you cannot always do it again. And if you're not careful, you will push yourself to the limit trying to be who people expect you to be, rather than to recreate yourself and find out that there is another version of yourself that may even supersede the former version of yourself if you have the courage to stop trying to do encores. And maybe you're not boxing anymore. Maybe you're coaching now. But maybe you're better in the coaching role than you were in the boxing role. And instead of standing out there at 70 trying to box somebody just so that you know how to do it, but just because you know how to do it doesn't mean you're supposed to do it.